Welcome to Work It, Live It, Own It, a show that explores how to upgrade your lifestyle through life lessons, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Here's your hostess, SaCola Lehr. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Work It, Live It, Own It. I'm your hostess, SaCola Lehr, and today's guest is Rushell Lashay. Now, she is the dynamic force behind A Girl Dropping Knowledge, also known as AGDK. So you're going to hear that acronym throughout our conversation today. And what does AGDK mean, A Girl Behind A Girl Dropping Knowledge? Well, the girl behind this business grew up in the rural parts of South Carolina, and she went from being a scholarship winner to a successful entrepreneur. Her story is nothing short of inspiring. So we're going to tune in. If you are an entrepreneur who's looking to go back to school, or you may have kids who are looking to go to school and you're planning for their education, Rochelle is going to talk about what she envisions for her business, why she's so passionate about it, and she's going to talk about her journey and even some of the challenges that she's faced along the way from establishing AGDK. Welcome, Rochelle. How are you doing?
I am good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for asking. So let's jump right into it because I have busy entrepreneurs and they want to get to the nitty gritty. So can you share with us a little bit more about the evolution of A Girl Dropping Knowledge, also known as AGDK, how it started from a blog? It started from a blog,
Mhm.
then it evolved to a podcast,
Yeah.
and then you made a decision to integrate flashcards and interactive guided workbooks. Tell us,
Right.
first of all, tell us what AGDK is all about.
Yeah. So AGDK, also known as a Girl Dropping Knowledge, it started as a blog. It was a school assignment. One of my professors wanted us to do monthly or weekly postings, articles on whatever it is that we wanted to talk about. And I thought, well, let me do something that I am passionate about. That's something that I can actually be dedicated and dedicate time to write about. And that's how it started. I started putting out articles weekly on the scholarship process, about resume writing, about using your scholarships for professional branding. But then it got to a point where it just became overwhelming. That's when it transitioned to a podcast. I honestly did one recording. It was the intro, and that was it. Because the time I had to set aside to do that one 30-second recording, I just was not willing to set that time aside to do. So then I had to make an executive decision because I knew there was a problem and I knew that I had the solution just by my experiences with getting scholarships. I grew up in a very small community where I had to go outside of my community to learn about scholarships, about professional branding. And it's because of that, I was able to go from zero to almost $250,000 in scholarships. And then as I was doing my internships in college, I was speaking to a lot of business professionals and their parents. And the main concern was, how do I get my child in college and how do I help them get scholarships? So I kept seeing that problem come about, and I knew I had the knowledge, which is why I decided to start a business. I knew I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And then finding out this is a problem, I just kind of put two and two together. How can I make an impact in a way that has never been done before? What can I do to make my business different? And what can I do to make my business stand out? So that's how I came up with the idea of doing the flashcards. And the flashcards initially started was just going to be the box of flashcards with a framework on getting scholarships. But then I kind of took it a step further and decided to compare or pair them together with a workbook. So that way you read, you learn from the flashcards, and then you do the interaction and you retain more knowledge by writing it down in your workbook or journal. It goes from a 7-step flow chart to a scholarship organizer to a checklist. So it's a lot of information together. And that was kind of like the early journey from where I started from class to where I am now, owning that educational company, trying to make a difference on students' education.
Okay, that was a lot. That was a big journey.
Yeah.
So let's recap. This all started as a school assignment
Hmm.
in college, or is this high
Yeah.
school?
In college.
In college. What was your major? I just have to ask. What was your major?
I did majoring in marketing, minor in mass communications.
Okay. All right. Because the way you set everything up, it sounds like an educator. It sounds like the way educators think. But then the marketing piece, I can see that because one, you created something and then you saw that it didn't work, right? Because a lot of people just think, oh, I can just start doing a podcast, do the recording, and blah, blah, blah. And it's going to be easy. I'm going to share it with the whole world. Bit, bam, boom, and we're done. But then you realize that wasn't a good fit for you. So you
Right.
shifted gears, but then you actually went out to the communities, you met people, you found a need. You knew that there was a need and you knew you had a solution. That's what
Right.
businesses are all about. It's not about creating something brand new out the gate,
Right.
but you actually seeing that need and knowing how to fulfill that need. And you found your target audience. And then it went to flashcards,
Yeah.
and that now it's an interactive workbook. So you take the flashcards, right?
Hmm.
And then you put it into a workbook to make it make sense. So they're actually documenting their journey.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Okay.
Yeah.
So I do have to ask you this. What inspired you to focus on providing this practical information? You already said that there was a need, but you said you had this background in of a quarter million. Let's back up on that one. A quarter million dollars in scholarships. What was the need and the desire to do
Mhm.
that for yourself first and foremost?
Yeah. Well, honestly, when I was in high school, I lost my father in a car accident. And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like changed my life in a way, whereas I knew I wanted to go to college and I have two younger siblings. I'm the oldest. And my mom, she became a single mother instantly. And I was thinking, well, why would I have her pay for college or have her try to take out loans? Or why would I put myself in debt when there are people willing to pay for my education? That was
Mm-hmm.
my simple thought. Why would I pay for my education when someone says they'll pay for me? I just have to find who that someone is in that different organizations. So that was the starting field. I knew it was scholarships out there. At the time, I've heard about people getting scholarships. It was kind of becoming more of like a popular thing on social media where on my algorithm on YouTube, there'll be students saying, I got $1 million in scholarships or I got a full ride. So I knew it was possible. And I just wanted to educate myself on what if they can do it, what's so different from me. And that was the starting force. I did not want to owe anybody money. And if I did, it was going to be money that I could pay off instantly, not having to be in debt. Because my ultimate goal is financial freedom. And I want to teach that to others. So that's kind of why I decided to go it for myself. And over the times, I'm actually in my master's program right now on a full ride scholarship. So it's just time. Every time I've been applying, it's just accumulated and it's allowed me to go to school and not worry about financial burden and allowed me to focus on like my professional skills, getting internship, getting opportunities, and just kind of being able to reach that goal. So that's really why I decided to go for it for myself.
I love the fact that you were able to walk in your own shoes. You saw,
Mhm.
hey, if other people can do this, there's plenty of money out there, right?
Right.
I can do it too. And you didn't get discouraged, or did you get discouraged along the way? Because how many? First of all, how many scholarships did you apply for? Did you keep track?
I I kept track up until I got into undergrad because I remember every day after high school, I didn't have a social life outside of high school. I had early release. I came home, I sat at my dining room table and I applied for scholarships for hours. Like I get
Mm-hmm.
home around 12 and I'll be up until after midnight still applying. And I probably applied to hundreds. I'm sure I got rejection from most of them. It was a discouraging process because it was something I had to dedicate my time to. I had to be okay with putting 110% into something and not getting anything back in return. But I do think that process prepared me for life, especially entrepreneurship, because every day it's like I put 110 into a project and it goes nowhere. But
Mm-hmm.
I have to be okay with that and I have to continue moving forward. So it was very, very discouraging. I remember the first scholarship I got was $75. I was grateful, very, very grateful for it. But I was like, okay, great. But I'm still trying to, reach that goal of having a full ride. So it paid off. I just had to develop that mindset of being okay with failure and understanding that it happens and it's a part of growth. So it was discouraging, but it was a process that I learned, and it helped develop me into the person that I am today.
Thank you for sharing that. And for my fellow entrepreneurs, if you are a parent and you want your children to listen to this particular episode, hone in on what Rochelle just said. She focused. You focused, Rochelle. You knew, like you said, you didn't have a social life in high school, but you carved out that time. You didn't
Right.
use it frivolously. You carved out time. And you already focused and said, okay, you already prepared your mind. There are going to be some no's,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, sometimes I would think a $75 scholarship would kind of sting. You'd be grateful. Thank you. I appreciate it. But, I need a little bit more. But you know what they say, every little bit helps. But you got a lot of no's, but you also got some yeses. So that's real life. And like you said, it prepared you for the real world. And that is what life is about. That's what business is about. You're going to get a lot of no's
Yeah,
but those yeses are so sweet
they
when they
are.
come.
They are, and I can say it was so powerful because the I was able to get a scholarship from Thurgood Marshall. So that
Hmm.
just goes to show, I mean, when it's for you, it's going to be for you. And those scholarships were just, they came at the right time. I can
Hmm.
say, because going into college, I was able to accumulate enough. I went semester by semester or year by year. That's kind of how I tackled it. I didn't think about the big picture because it was overwhelming. So that's one thing I can say is start small, understand, okay, you may get federal or institutional funding. That was one thing, or funding from the state that are scholarships or grants, and then take what's the remainder and then tackle it piece by piece. And that
Hmm.
kind of is what kept me sane through the entire process.
I like how you said that. I mean, we could have this ultimate goal, right? An ultimate goal for you was to finish scholarship with as little as of debt as possible, but you took it
Mhm,
semester by semester.
mhm.
Phenomenal. Because sometimes we can get lost. We can, like you said, feel overwhelmed, burdened
Mhm.
by the big picture. But you
Right.
enjoy the journey along the way. And that's what I talk about all the time. Enjoy that journey and those
Yeah.
wins along the way. So while you were envisioning AGDK, because you saw a need into
Mhm,
this, how do you envision your business fulfilling its calling to educate aspiring leaders across
mhm.
diverse educational fields? And what innovative technologies or approaches are you utilizing now to achieve this goal? You talked about workbooks, you talked about flashcards. Is there anything else that is helping you to envision how your business is going to help solve the needs for those who are pursuing education?
Yeah, honestly, my business is growing. It's always 1 minute I'm trying to be open to different avenues. I'm not trying to stick in one place. Like I just updated the vision. Our vision is every student debt free, every dream within reach. And what that means is we want students to graduate debt free. That's the goal. It's a big goal that is going to take years to accomplish, having a large team that is dedicated to that goal. But that is something that we want to do. And we feel that that is extremely important because if students do not accumulate student loans, then that allows them to be able to follow their dreams more. It allows, like, for example, I give the first gen college student. If you don't have the education or knowledge on how to get scholarships, then you might not be able to go after that dream. So I
Mm-hmm.
envision my business accomplishing that goal specifically through the products that we do offer. We also have like online courses and also like some consulting. So I do have power chats where I'm able to sit down or book a call with me, and then I'm able to talk to the students and the parent. And then in that session is where we kind of get deep into, okay, what is that you're trying to achieve? What action steps are you taking? And then I'll put my input in, and then I'll follow up with some strategic plans on how we can reach that goal. So of course, doing like our services and products, that's one way we see ourselves reaching students and reaching that goal. Ultimately, we also are trying to get in schools, high schools, colleges, higher institutions of learning, because that's really where majority of the students are. So trying to get that flashcard and workbook set into the high schools, into the colleges where the students can benefit from that. The districts or schools, they can purchase the bulk order and then give it to the students. That way they have access. They have the direct access to, this is the steps on what you need to do when it comes to getting scholarships. So that's kind of how I see the vision going.
Mhm.
Again, it's always changing. Like entrepreneurship, it can be one way today and it can be another way tomorrow. So as of right now, that's kind of where I see myself, and that's where I see this product reaching that goal and helping those students.
Excellent. You got a roadmap, but you also realize that running a business is like life. It can have its twists and turns, and it can take you in a totally different direction that you don't expect it to. But it's good that you do have that vision. And I will tell you, as a veteran educator, it is direly needed. The school district I've been in, they send out a list of scholarships. And I
Mm-hmm.
can't tell you, students don't even see it. They don't
Yeah.
see it, they don't read it. And growing up the way I grew up, low income, I didn't get to hear about all the scholarship programs out there. It was someone who knew someone when I decided I'm going to go to school
Mm-hmm.
because I had no plans of going to school. I was first generation graduate. I graduated college before my parents did. And my way of looking up scholarships was through Ebony or Jet. I'm dating myself, but back in the day, those magazines, there was a certain time where of the year where scholarships would come out, like the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship, the
Okay.
Coca-Cola Scholarship, things like that that you would apply for. Those really big scholarships. So tell me this, what would you say would be the ideal time period or age period to actually start looking at scholarships, knowing what you want to apply for?
Mm-hmm. I say it depends. I say the earlier the better, mainly like high school. Sophomore, junior year is when I would really start. Well, junior year, I would really have momentum. But
Mhm.
you can really start your freshman or your sophomore year, depending on what scholarship organizations. They might have eligibility for students who are freshmen, or they may have, opportunities for students who are younger. So it really just depends on what opportunities students are applying for. But definitely for start freshman year, start getting to know, familiarize yourself with what scholarships are, what loans are. Just kind of like start the process. Your sophomore year, I'd say take it seriously. Start deciding, well, okay, do I want to go to college? If so, what do I need to do? And then start putting that together, start putting a roadmap, start applying. And then by the time your junior year comes around, you should already have a couple of scholarships, or you should be in a place where you're good, when you're able to start applying to more scholarships and to kind of pick up momentum. Because honestly, once it hits that senior year of high school, you're about to go off to college. And I wouldn't say it's too late, because I started my senior year of high school, but then I had to sacrifice my time. And I tell people all the time, it was 4.5 years of failure and rejection, and just dedicating my time to it. So it was a sacrifice that allowed me to get to where I am. But if I known what I know now, I would have started sooner. That way, as soon as you're graduating college or you're graduating high school, going into college, you have money that you can put up for your first semester or your first year. And then that's a worry that's off of your mind. And then you can continue to do that every year. So I would say start kind of getting to know the process your freshman year of high school is my best advice.
Okay, great. Because you meant as a freshman, students don't know what they want to major in, or they're not quite sure. I didn't even decide that I was going to go to college until my
Mhm.
junior year. So it was like really scramble session. And then it was like, okay, how am I going to pay for this? Because college, it wasn't the cost of what it is now, but it was still pricey even then. So freshman year will be ideal for them to start looking and start researching the schools that they want to go to.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's talk about and highlight some of the key challenges you faced, because on the Work It, Live It, Own It podcast, we can talk about entrepreneurship, but let's go in a little bit more behind the scenes of
Mhm.
AGDK. What has been some of the key challenges you faced in growing your business? and how have you overcome them and continue to make a positive impact?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest problems is getting the word out.
Mm,
Marketing, even though I majored in marketing, is a very tricky thing. And it has a lot to do with knowing your target audience. Like I kind of said earlier, we're really switching paths. Initially, my target audience, of course, is still students, but having to figure out, okay, if I'm targeting students, I have this product that is worth a certain value, but my audience, they possibly can't afford it, but it's made for them. So then I had to think, okay, well, how am I going to get it in their hands? So then I was thinking, okay, well, parents, and then how am I going to get it in front of the parents? And then I had to redirect my entire marketing strategy to say, well, are parents more on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook? So kind of understanding that, and then once I'm able to implement that, then staying consistent with it. And then I also had to think, well, what is another big revenue, or what's another organization that I can target? Which is when I came to the idea of school. So it's a process. I would say like the target audience, then the marketing, and getting everything worded correctly and
mm,
presenting it and getting it in the hands of the students. That has been the biggest challenge. It is something that I am going through currently. I feel like I'm kind of midpoint. I've been able to communicate with some high schools, some colleges about the product to see if it will be a good fit. And again, it's just trial and error. It's just getting feedback, being that I have not had been able to get this product in universities at the moment because I kind of really just started refining this process. So it's like I'm starting back from square one. So getting that feedback has been something that I have been trying to do to navigate through that, which has been one of the biggest challenges.
okay. But I love the fact that you're still going and doing.
Hmm.
And you've got the credibility behind it. And sometimes it can get discouraging because, like I said, I've worked in school systems and I've talked to so many entrepreneurs who have a great product, who have a great service. And I've even referred them to that. And so I would just say to you, Rochelle, personally, heart to heart, here, right here, now, keep asking, keep knocking, keep pursuing, because eventually you'll get a yes. And I will say this, maybe check and look into some of the what they call Title One schools, or also known as the low income schools, where 75% or more of the students are on free and reduced lunch. Maybe doing a virtual workshop with the counselors at the school and administration and see if you can get in that way.
Right.
And I'm happy to give you some connections of people I know personally in education to get that started. I can't guarantee they'll say yes, but to just reach out and
Yeah.
see what they have to offer. Okay.
Okay. Thank
All right.
you.
I'm passionate. I will always be passionate about education, but I'm even more passionate about free education,
Hmm.
because if there is a way to help students grow and progress, but not have to go into debt, because I'm one of those people, I will be honest, I have over 20 years in the education field. And I tell people all the time when a student asks me, if you had to do it all over again, would you go to a 4-year university? For me personally, I would say no. I would have went to a tech school.
Yeah.
Why? Because I wouldn't have had to pay off all that student loan debt. And even when I did go to grad school, there was an opportunity for a fellowship. I applied, I got it. So even for those who are thinking about, if you've already have your bachelor's degree and you're thinking about it, Rochelle's in grad school right now and you're on a scholarship. You've got scholarship money.
Yeah.
So grad school, you can get free money even in graduate school. I got some. Rochelle has received some. So it is possible. It is doable. And that could be another thing too. Another focus. I feel like I'm coaching on here. I'm not trying to coach you or anything, but I'm just trying to brainstorm with you. Think about some of these things, about potentially even reaching out to the universities and colleges, but also focus on certain programs that you may want to say, hey, let's help graduate students who are working
Hmm.
that need free money as well.
Right.
That could be another target audience. Okay. All right. Enough. I'm done with my tangent. I'm done. I'm done. So, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs or content creators who
Mhm.
are looking to start their own platforms aimed at empowering others with practical knowledge and resources just like you.
Yeah, I would say the one thing is understand what your problem is. And at times, for me, my problem has always been a reassurance for me to keep going. Because if you know exactly what the problem is, if you know the market that you're getting into, and if you know how much that industry is worth,
Mhm.
that is something that it will always be reassuring when you're going through your process of entrepreneurship or content creating. You'll know that when it's times get kind of rocky and where you feel like this is not it, maybe I should have chose something different or I won't be successful in this. If you go back to the start, which is that problem, or which is how big is this market? Is there a market for it? That will kind of reassure you and keep pushing. So make sure you understand that. Um, I say the need, the problem before the product. Make sure you're actually trying to achieve that problem. Make sure you're doing things to better others and not so focus on what you're selling. Try to
Mhm.
relate to them, try to understand what their struggles are. I think that is something that I wish I would have done at first. Understand the pain points truly, because when you're understanding that, and then try to find a way if you can relate to, because if you're relatable, if you're really understanding of what it is that they're going through or what it is that problem, then your product will just kind of come in second nature because it's something that supports that, and it's not like you're pushing the product on them. You're actually pushing to solve that problem. So I would say
Mhm.
before anything, understand the problem, understand the market, understand is this a lucrative industry, understand is it scalable? Like in the next 5 to 10 years, will this even still be an industry? And if it is, what does that look like? And how would you be willing to move with that? So, kind of doing that research before even coming up with a solution or even making everything shiny and pretty through the business, doing the gritty stuff, the stuff that's not fun. So I would say do that first, their research.
I'm not going to even chime in on that, but I'm in full agreement. I've mentioned that before because a lot of times when we start a business, we think about the shiny, the
Hmm.
business cards, the website, and nobody cares
Hmm.
about that really. They care about what's in it for them. And it's not sexy. It's not fun to sit up here and be like, okay, what are people's problems?
Yeah,
And what are their struggles? What keeps them awake at night? But when you truly understand that, like Rochelle says, you are speaking. When you know your target audience, you know what keeps them up at night, you can speak their language. And then they
right.
want to know, okay, what's in it for me? Well,
Hmm.
fortunately, I have some practical knowledge and resources to share with you to take you from where you are right now to where you need to go.
Right,
And if you know your why, that is your why. I'm here to help, to be of service. I'm here to help solve that problem, like Rochelle just mentioned. Great. Guess what? It's going to keep you going. But
right.
a
It
lot of
will.
entrepreneurs give up. They give
Yeah,
up.
they do. And honestly, I do think it has a lot to do with that either during COVID and after COVID, we saw a lot of people starting businesses. For me, I saw it everywhere on social media.
Mhm.
It was it was made to make it seem like it was so simple. All you have to do is get a logo, get a business name, get an LLC, go to whatever.com and get everything, and then boom, you're making $10,000 a month. And I was like, okay, even though I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur from the beginning and I was going to do it regardless, but I think it was very misleading. It was very easy to do. And then I think a lot of people started to realize that this is not as easy as it seems. It's like 1 minute you're up, then the next minute you can be like starting from the bottom. And that's the process that I'm going in right now, just like doing minor rebranding, refining what I'm trying to do, refining everything, and then being open to changing things. So it's really a journey.
I
That's
feel
what
you. I
I
feel you. We can talk
can
about this all day long because there are ups and downs, but you know what I remind myself? At the end of every race, there's a beginning of a new one. When you
say.
get to the bottom of a mountain or you're at the top of the mountain, guess what? There's going to be another mountain to climb. And there's going to be those peaks, there's going to be those valleys. And guess what? When you're riding high, it's one of my mentors. I've never met him yet. I haven't met him yet. I'm looking forward to meeting him one day. Brian Buffini says that when you're at the top of the mountain, you throw a little dirt down into the valley because then your fall won't be as far and
Mhm.
deep because you're already preparing because you're going to have those ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So, Rochelle, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for being so transparent with your journey, with your story. And my heart really goes out to what you're doing because here's a person again who secured almost $250,000 in scholarship money. So
Mm.
when you finished your 4-year degree, though, I'm curious, did you walk away debt free or did you have to pay like just a little bit?
Yeah, so I have to pay back a little bit only
Mm-hmm,
because my this was around COVID and I decided to
mm-hmm,
take like extra classes and
mm-hmm,
I got in a point where I just got tired of applying. So like I said, I took everything kind of step
mm-hmm,
by step. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna go through it and I'm not gonna worry about it. So that
mm-hmm,
was kind of on my own fault because I lost motivation. I lost the reason that I was doing it, but
mm-hmm.
it's not something that would keep me back. Meaning like
Okay.
it's something that I could pay off easily, not something I have to set up necessarily a payment plan to do,
Mm-hmm,
which is the goal. Like I say all the time, if you can, debt free is great. But if you can't, go for as little as possible. That way you're
mm-hmm.
not paying a car back in as far as student loans. That's how I like to think about it. I mean, who
Right.
wants to pay? That's money for a new car. That's money for a down
Mm-hmm.
payment. Or you don't want to think you're paying a whole trip, a couple trips for it. So when you put it in that perspective, I feel like students can understand that. Go as little as
Right.
possible. That way it won't handicap you in the future.
Right. It's doable. It's doable because
Right.
the last thing you want to do, because starting out getting a job anywhere, they're not going to be paying you top dollar.
Right.
They're not. And a lot of college students, what do they want to do? They want to have their own place, right? So you want to make sure that if you do have to pay any loans back or anything, that is doable. It's
Right.
within your budget. So I have two rapid fire questions for you, Rochelle, before we go. You
Okay.
ready?
Ready.
What is your go-to productivity hack when you're facing a time crunch? Because you're a grad student.
Mhm.
So what is your go-to productivity hack?
Um, I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. That's a good question. Productivity hack. I usually keep like sticky notes sometimes, or I would put notes in my phone. I feel like that keeps me productive. But when I have a lot of things going on and someone's like, oh, hey, can you do this or can you do that? And I just put it in my phone and I have a note section that I share with my iPad and that's also shared to my laptop. So it's like a hack that I can look at on any device that I'm at to make sure that I'm getting everything done. I would say that's kind of what I do, or it's like a hack that I
Okay.
have.
Okay. Keeping up with everything. Great. If you could only listen, and I'm putting you on the spot, sorry, but if you could only listen to one podcast for the rest of your life, besides your own or the one you created for 30 seconds, which one would it be and why?
That would be TED Business
Tap business.
because just listening to it, it's just so informative. I learned so much, not just about entrepreneurship, but about life. And I'm driving and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh wow, this is a great hack. Let me write this down so when my business grows into this large corporation, this is what I can do to apply here. This I can apply that here. So it's just building me into that entrepreneur that I am trying to become. So it would be TED Business.
I love it. I love it. I love the podcast that you're like, oh, that's a nugget. Let me hold on to that one. I love it. TED Business, guys. So I have my own podcast, but guys, hey, there's a lot of other podcasts out there. So check out TED Business, but most importantly, check out Rushell Lashay. If you are thinking about going back to school or you have young ones and you want to help prepare them for the future, real life skills of learning how to carve out time for what's important, learning that there are going to be some no's before you get those yeses, but ultimately the yeses are so sweet because they've worked hard for it. Rochelle, tell us how we can stay in contact with you so that way you can help other families, other single parents or children to, if they decide to pursue education,
Mhm.
do it for free or with little cost.
Yeah. The best two ways to contact me is on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything. My handle is the same. It's a girl, D knowledge. You can find me on there. Also, I'm always on my email. I have my email on all of my social medias, which is info at RochelleLashay.co. If anyone sends me an email, I'm very responsive. I check that more than I honestly check my social media. So those are the best two best ways to get in contact with me.
Okay, and that's Rochelle, RushellLashay.co, info at RochelleLashay.co. That's where you can catch her and ask her questions. Now, if you are already a part of the Work It, Live It, Own It community, stay tuned because we're going to have a brief podcast after party where we're going to delve a little bit more and get some more insights from Rochelle. And if you are not, what in the world? I need you to go ahead and head on over to workitliveitownit.com and click on subscribe so you can stay in the know when I upload a new episode, but also get some of the bonus exclusive features that are only available to the Work It, Live It, Own It community. So, Rochelle, I want to thank you again for coming on, taking some of your valuable time to drop some knowledge on us, give us some insights on how to prepare our future generations for college if they decide to pursue that, but without going into so much debt. Thank you, everyone. And don't forget to continue to work it, live it, own it in your everyday lives. Take care.